Were you working on an aircraft carrier?
I worked on the flight deck.
No way.
Yeah. Look up aircraft carrier crash crane.
This sounds fun.
So yeah, look at that.
Damn, dude.
Throw up a photo of one of those, brother. Yeah. So that bad boy right there is a mobile crane. It's designed to, you can take, let's say you have a downed aircraft, right, for whatever reason, and you need to get it the hell out of the way. You can attach a sling to the aircraft at specific points, a specific sling.
Now you're talking my language, dude. This is rigging right here.
Yeah, this is rigging.
Rigging 101. Yep.
So then you use that giant hook, and then you can raise and lower that hook. You can raise and lower the boom. That six-wheeled freaking juggernaut, when you turn it, I think it's maybe the front or the back and the middle wheels or something, dude, it countersteers.
Oh yeah, like it'll crab crawl and stuff.
Yeah,
too?
so it's got a turntable in the center of it. So when you cut that thing hard left, you can spin that thing around.
Wow,
it's insane. Man, I wish there was.
That's like a great all-on crack, dude. Those things.
So if you look at that,
so
thing,
did you operate this thing?
Yeah, I could operate it. That wasn't my job to operate it. It was my job. So that one, yeah, pull that sucker up.
Wow.
So
what does one of those jets weigh? Is that an F-18?
That's an 18 right there.
Yeah.
That's an older 18. That's a baby. So when you look at that, that's the sling attached to it, and then you can just hook that thing up and then drive away. So let's say you have an aircraft that comes in, for whatever reason, there's a failure on the landing gear or something, we have to retrieve it, and it goes down in the landing area.
Yeah, you're screwed if you're on an aircraft carrier.
Well, yeah, if you got birds in the sky, they need to land somewhere. Let's say you're doing blue water operations. None of this is classified, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know anything classified. If you're doing blue water ops, your choices to land are the ocean or the flight deck. There's no land close enough by, and you don't have enough fuel to get there anyways. You have to come back to the deck.
Well, don't they only load them like halfway with fuel? Like maybe I'm wrong on this, so they can take off and land properly on there. Like there's a science to it, to what the mission is and how much fuel they put in because of the landing,
right?
Like, implications and stuff. Yeah, and the weight too, right? You're landing on something that's like, I think I heard a fighter pilot describe it one time. He's like, okay, this is how I can describe how hard it is to land one of these things is put a postage stamp in the middle of your living room floor, stand on the highest part of your couch, jump off of it and try to land your nose on that postage stamp. And yeah, turn out the lights. I was like, this is an awesome analogy.
So that's a cool photo right there, because that's the aircraft. That's an EA-6B Prowler. I'm going to get all nerdy.
Yeah, let's go, dude. I love this shit, man.
So on the flight deck, like that's in the LA, the landing area, where they launch off the catapult, there's, and you can kind of see it. It's kind of weird. Damn. So if you go back from the aircraft and then you got the crane and then you kind of push towards the right, you can kind of see like this white dotted line on the floor.
Yeah.
That's the line where you can stand on the deck safely for landing operations, recovery operations. They have those same lines up on the bow, and you can watch birds take off, and you get to sit there and watch them run up, go through their whole kind of process and checklist. Very Top Gun-esque.
Yeah.
But when you watch them take off and you're so close, dude, I had foam earplugs, I had my cranial on, and EA-6Bs, that Prowler has fucked my hearing up.
Oh,
straight up.
Sure.
Way worse than an F-18. F-18s are loud, don't get me wrong, but EA-6Bs, like you stand there and watch them take off. When you do, you can't close your mouth all the way. Like you can't have your teeth touching because it rattles everything. Dude, it shakes your soul.
I love this shit so much, man. Like I'm so fortunate, man, in the career that I've had for not being military, what I've got to experience with the military and the U.S. military. And the main reason why I love Coronado so much like, not only is it a beautiful beach and setting, and there's fucking just badass people running around, but it's the military presence that's there of all the aircraft going up and down the beach. And then you get out to Half Face and like Miramar's right there. I got to do a USO thing at Miramar. It was like Divas do USO type thing for VH1. So that was super cool. I got to go on base there. But one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had is I was working for Red Bull at the time, and it was the Air Force's 60-year anniversary. So they were putting on air shows at all these, all the Air Force bases across the U.S.
Okay.
And Red Bull was like a main sponsor or whatever. So we would go build this Red Bull structure on the flight line for like VIPs of the military. But when we were going on, they were still active bases. So like we got to go to Luke Air Force Base, and we're trying to build this monster of this structure.
Okay.
Look up the Red Bull Energy Station. And super cool. It had hardwood floors and sound system and just like all this badass shit. But the coolest part is we were going on to those military bases while they were still active. So we were like, it was me and like 2 other civilians and our stagehands, and that was it that were allowed on the base that were just like civilians. And dude, I have a whole collection of challenge coins at home. This is just what I've gotten from like through the podcast. But the ones that I have an Air Force One challenge coin. We were on Andrews Air Force Base. But it was so cool being at Luke because they are running F-16s out of there like crazy. I don't know. I mean, this was kind of a high tempo time when we were doing it too. I think it was like 2016 or something. So I'm sure that they're training like nonstop.
Oh yeah.
But just, you couldn't even do anything when they started with us being like on the flight line. And we had this whole briefing, like if you cross the flight line, they'll shoot you basically, like, like keep your civilian ass like off my fucking runway, like kind of conversations, right? Which with good reason. Yep. But we had to build this stupid thing like right on the flight line. So the when those F-16s would take off, and that's a very small aircraft, right, compared to what they have,
comparatively speaking.
Yeah, but they would take off, and you couldn't even work. You just had to stop everything and just watch, because it was so fucking cool. But you physically couldn't do anything. It was so loud and so much like vibration. It was fucking badass.
Did you guys have Hearing Pro on?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But my hearing shit. That's why I love doing the podcast with headphones, because my very first job as a kid, well, not my very first job, my first like real job where I was working like 40 hours a week was in a sawmill. Ooh. Then
Are they the VIP?
Yeah, they're all the different. Yeah, they're different sizes, but it's like a mobile 2-story, just fucking badass bar, basically.
At like all the F1 events for
VIPs. Yeah, those are a little bit bigger than what I was building, but similar concept. That one's 3 stories actually.
Damn,
it's crazy. But yeah, they prior to that, I was drilling rock for road construction, like hand drilling with an air hammer.
Yeah.
And
damn, dude.
So that's loud as shit, right? Your teeth, you want to talk about being yoked, dude. Like my arms have never been so big in my life as when I was doing that. Cause the hammer weighed or the drill weighed, the airline was like 2 inches going into it. And then I think the air hammer, the air drill was like 200 pounds.
Damn.
And then you had to connect these steels. So you would start with a 2-foot steel. So it's this high, and you're fucking hanging onto this thing, like drilling holes in rock, just covered in dust.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you got the 2-foot steel down far enough, you would disconnect the hammer. You had to lift the hammer off, lay it on the ground, pull the steel out, put a 4-foot one in, and then start over at 2 feet, and then 6 feet, and then 8 feet, right?
Jeez.
So the steels were... they weighed, the 8-footer at least weighed 60 pounds. It was more than a 45-pound, bar, right? Oof. So I would drill, 40, 60 holes in a day, and then we'd blow it up at the end of the day. Stuff dynamite down it and fucking blow it up. It was
Now we're talking.
one of the best jobs in the world. This is what my grandfather did. You know how firefighters always have like a part-time gig?
Yep.
That was his part-time gig, was blowing up shit.
Blowing shit.
Yeah, like rocks. I was like, he's a badass.
I want to play.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But then from there, I went into rock and roll. I spent endless nights in nightclubs where it was way too loud, and arenas and stadiums, and my hearing's fucked.
I actually have to wear hearing aids now.
Really?
Yeah.
I probably should.
But it's situational. Like when I went and got my hearing done, they do this kind of thing, and I can hear all the tones, but then they do a new part of the test where they're like, okay, you're going to hear a conversation, and then you're going to hear background noise like it's a not very busy restaurant.
That's what fucks me.
And then it goes up and up and up. I got to the end, and this poor lady, like we get to the last test, and I'm closing my eyes, shaking my head. And she goes, okay, what was the sentence that you're supposed to say back to me? I said, I have no idea, because that was fucking chaos. Absolute chaos. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, we got to run one more of those. I was like, okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Same thing. And then I get out of the booth, and she's like, we need to talk about
it's so
hearing aids.
hard for me to have a conversation like in a bar or an airport or anything like that. I'm like reading lips. Like I catch myself all the time.
Same way. Like it's to the point where, like even at home, like if I'm watching something, like I just need to turn it up a little bit just to hear what they're saying sometimes, because of all the other explosions and background noise and everything else, just on a movie. So now I have to freaking watch everything closed caption, because if
we
I
should
turn
just
it up
strap
too loud,
these to our chest, dude, and walk around with this shit.
Save my ass. Jeremy, can I have you look up one more thing, brother?
Yeah, I want to go back to, man, that's a cool.
Those new AirPods that are dropping?
Yeah, I saw that, dude, that they got the...
I think it's kind of addressing exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, they can. There's a function on there that it acts just like hearing aids.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and I think it'd be cool to use those in certain scenarios. But, dude, straight up, I'm not trying to have those in my ears at work.
Can you imagine? Yeah, no, you can't.
Because if I walked around at the gym with those, people are going to be like, what are you doing?
You just look like
Are you on a phone call? Are you listening to music, you dick? Like
That's the
what are you
worst
doing?
is when you try to talk to somebody
should
and
be a
they're
different
on the
color.
phone and you can't see their earbuds or something.
right?
Yeah.
Paint them red, and that's
yeah,
it.
do something so it can be,
What do you need?
Let's go flight deck. Let's just do P25.
Dude, what a cool gig though. Just being around that aircraft and stuff.
Yeah, let's do some images on that.
Oh, what is this thing? Oh, is that Taxi the plane or something?
Oh, that's a fire truck. So that right there, in the event you have a fire on the flight deck, on the front, it's got, like you can sit driver and passenger, and then it's got a nozzle that I forget the rate of the amount of water it can shoot out per minute per second. But dude, that essentially the entire back is full of water. There's a compartment on the side that's full of AFFF.
Like foam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it mixes at a certain point in the piping of that P25, and then you can either shoot water, you can select water or add foam. On the back, you can see where the guy's standing up, just forward of him, there's another nozzle. So if you need to hit a couple things at one time, you can do it with that truck. So that's three-person job on the truck, or on that P25. So during flight operations, there's one forward and one aft, or in the back, for you civilian types.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Look at that. Yeah, there goes your hearing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about catching cables in a second, but so with that nozzle, dude, you can just full send it. So we had to, that's interesting. They got a section where it's totally torn down. So that thing right there, that truck, that fire truck, you got one forward, one aft. You have to have two functioning P25s on that flight deck, or flat operations do not happen. The crash crane, you have to have a fully functioning crash crane operational on that flight deck, or flight operations do not happen.
No pressure.
Yeah, none. So along with like your tow bars and your tow tractors that have a turbine on the back to help run up some of the older aircraft, because their APUs won't start them on their own. Like an F-18 can turn on by itself, but you take a E2 or a C2 Hawkeye, you need to hook that bad boy up to an external jet engine, a smaller jet engine, basically a turbine. You run that up,
prime it or something, huh?
Yep, it helps basically jumpstart that bad boy.
Wow.
And then you disconnect, and so I can work on, diesel engines. I can work on pneumatics, hydraulics, cryogenics. That's what I was doing. So there you go. There's the hell kind of tow tractor is that? So, but you can see like the stuff in the background, the tow tractors and all that.
Yeah.
That's all the stuff that I could work on active duty. That's tow bar that I could work on. P25 fire truck. They look like baked potatoes because they're wearing silver suits so they don't die.
God, think about how hot jet fuel burns, dude. Like, I can't imagine.
So everybody
And then you're on a boat.
yeah, there's nowhere to go. So
Yeah.
you are the fire team, right? So they teach you all of these skills to be part of that fire team in the event that shit hits the fan. You can't call 911, right? The crash and salvage crew,
Whoa, what is going on?
we call them crash and smash. But crash and smash, those guys right there in those freaking suits, dude, if they're going, get the hell out of their way, right? So that's just a drill how they're going to line up for an aircraft. They got to pull out the net. They got to get it rigged up. So they're going to try to catch an aircraft in the landing area, and they have to stand by for whatever is going on. So I can work on that forklift, because if they need to get the pilot out, they got to get to the canopy.
They're the rescue team.
They're the rescue team.
Yeah.
Right. So I got along, me and my guys in our work center, we got along great with the crash and salvage guys. Purple guys, they're going to do fuel. Green, they're going to work on, what is it? The cables in the back, and then the catapult in front. The guys that wear yellow, they're just directing traffic. They do more than that. They'd be pissed if that's what I said. But I didn't wear yellow.
Yeah.
And then you have other safety jobs going on up there, but everything's color coordinated. Everything has a name and an identifier of where you're supposed to be. You got your headset on, you got microphones. So when they call it like an aircraft turning, they'll call out the tail number and say aircraft spinning in the wherever that aircraft is at, because it's not being towed. Like the engines are on. So you don't want to be close to the intake. You don't want to be by the exhaust.
Oh, no shit. There's no room, man. There's like...
No. So you have to know what's moving and when and how. So the idea of keep your head on a swivel, like...
comes from...
yeah, super high stress scenario of knowing where things are at all time and being hyper vigilant of your environment. This entire flight deck, which is huge when there's nothing going on, but it shrinks really, really fast when there's aircraft and all the equipment upstairs and people running around, and dude, it's nuts.
Oh, I'm
Nuts.
sure.
So
What's crazy, isn't there like 6,000 people on an aircraft carrier or something like that?
about 5,000 total when you have a full air wing on board. Ship's company runs about 2,500, give or take. So, and ship's company is like everyone that's assigned to that particular ship, right? So that's
Dude, how'd you land that gig over like being a cook or like, I mean, there's people, right, that are on that ship that are just janitors. I mean,
that's everybody.
Right.
Everyone's a janitor. We are the world's finest janitors, folks. I can sweep, mop, dust, freaking wax.
Put out an
I can
F-18
wax a floor
fire.
like no one's business.
Right.
But yeah, it's when you go through the process of selecting your job, you take the ASVAB and you aptitude test, and they lay out a bunch of options in front of you, and then they ask you of these, and you get to read full descriptions. What are you interested in? So I was working at an auto shop at the time. I like turning wrenches. I like, doing that kind of stuff. I had two options, and one was for the CBs, which was a construction mechanic, and then the other one was aviation support equipment. The construction mechanic one, anybody that's a CB, like the chances of you going to a boat are slim to none, right? So I would have been working on front end loaders and just big heavy machinery that's construction based, but I never would have been on a ship. And then I looked at where the A school was, the technical school, the vocational school, essentially. That was in Georgia, I believe. And then the aviation support equipment school was in Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I was
I'm
like,
going to
Georgia or
Florida.
Florida? So I went to Florida.
No
'cause
brainer.
I didn't know any better. And it was funny. My recruiter he had an aviation style rate, but he was also a former team guy. Well, he was a team guy. I shouldn't say former. But he had some stuff to where he couldn't actually go and do operations, but he didn't want to get out. So he went and did recruiting. So my recruiter never lied to me, not once. He never fabricated anything. Just he could tell me what he could tell me, but some of this stuff you just have to experience, right?
Yeah.
It's just firsthand stuff. And he asked me when we were downtown at MEPS, he's like, hey, I have a question for you. He's like, it's kind of out there, but I'm going to ask it. He goes, would you be interested in special operations? And I was like what?